Hey guys, welcome back to my kitchen. I hope everybody's having a wonderful day today. It is a beautiful day outside today. I'm pleasantly surprised. It's about 52, 53 degrees and my dogs are loving it as well. They are currently outside playing with every tree limb they can find in the yard and sunbathing as well because they kind of go back and forth. But anyway, I am so glad that they are outside playing, enjoying the weather. We are going to be making some cookies today. I'm going to show you how I make my triple chocolate chip cookies. They're so good. The only thing that I've done in advance was brown my butter. You certainly don't have to do that. You can just use a stick of room temperature butter. Good to go. I like the flavor profile that it gives, but we'll talk more about that in just a bit. I've got my oven preheating to 350 degrees. That should be up to temperature here soon. I've got 2 sheet trays lined with my Silpat. Those are ready to go. I've got my ice cream scoop just to scoop out the dough later. I've got my handheld mixer ready to go. And I think that's it. So anyways, let's get right into these cookies. I'm going to show you everything you're going to need and get these going. Alright guys, so I've got all of my ingredients here set out, ready to go. Everything is at room temperature. Don't mind my avocado right there. I'm going to have that for lunch in just a bit. Back here I've got some flour. This is regular, unbleached, all-purpose flour. Use what you have on hand. Will work just fine. I've got some eggs, salt, baking soda, and nutmeg. You're not going to taste the nutmeg, but it's going to give it that little something something in the background that is just absolutely delicious. I've got some milk powder here. You don't have to add this, but if you want your cookies to have a nice chewy texture, I put this in. But if you want your cookies to have a more crunchy texture, you can leave it out. I love that the flavor that the milk powder gives, so I always put that in. I've got some vanilla, and I've got my brown butter here, and it is at room temperature. It's starting to solidify back up, and it smells so delicious. You certainly don't have to use brown butter. You can just use a stick of room temperature unsalted butter. In here I've got some organic cane sugar and some organic brown sugar. You can use whatever sugar, brown sugar that you like or have on hand. Will work just fine. Over here I've got 4 ounces each of white chocolate, semi-sweet chocolate, and milk chocolate. You can do all one flavor chocolate if you want to. That is up to you. These are triple chocolate chocolate chip cookies, so I'm using 3 different kinds, but like I said, you use what you have on hand. If you hear squeaking in the background, that's Athena. She's playing with all of her squeaky toys. You can also do half and half. You can do half chocolate chips and half nuts if you prefer. It's really up to you. So I've got my cookie sheets ready to go, so let's get these mixed up and in the oven. Okay guys, so I've got my sugars here. And we're just going to add in our butter. Like I said, you can use just regular stick of room temperature butter. I absolutely love the flavor that brown butter gives. And if you don't know how to make brown butter, all you do, put your butter in a little saucepan, turn it on about medium-low, and let it melt. Once it's melted, start stirring your butter. It's going to get foamy and frothy, and it's going to rise up quite a bit. Just keep stirring it. Once it starts to foam up a lot, take it off the heat for about 5 seconds. Stir it. You should see some brown bits forming at the bottom. Put it back on the heat. Stir it for another 30 to 45 seconds and it's going to get nice and brown and delicious. Take it off the heat. Let it cool to room temperature. I let it cool about 10 minutes in the pan, and then I just put it in a bowl and then just set it on the counter and let it come to room temperature. It's going to solidify as it cools, and you are good to go, and it's going to be absolutely delicious. So now that I've got my butter in here, I'm going to mix this until everything is combined and light and fluffy. Okay guys, so my sugar mixture is nice and combined. It's not going to get as creamy as you would use just a regular stick of butter. It's going to have a different texture to it. So I've got that mixed in there, and I've got my vanilla. So I'm going to add that in. And I've gone ahead and cracked open my eggs. So I'm going to add one egg at a time, blend it well, add the other egg, blend it well, and then I'll meet you right back here. Okay, so my sugar and egg mixture is nice and combined. I scraped down the sides while I was blending and then just blended it again to make sure everything was nice and incorporated. So this is nice and fluffy, and it's got a pale color to it. So I'm going to set this aside, and we're going to work on our dry ingredients. So I've got my flour here, and I'm just going to add in my spice mixture as well as my powdered milk. And we're just going to give this a whisk, make sure everything is well combined. And that baking soda is nice and combined in there, because you don't want to bite down on a big clump of baking soda. It tastes horrible. So just take a second and make sure your flour and spice mixture is nice and combined. Okay. So now all I'm going to do is add my flour mixture in just a few batches into my butter mixture, because I want my butter to soak up some of that flour. Just kind of fold it in. You don't have to get too rough with all of this. Just kind of fold it in until you get all of your flour well combined into your butter, and it's going to be kind of thick. I'll show you what it looks like when we get there. Okay, so my dough is pretty thick, and once it gets to a certain point, I just went in with my hands and just started mixing it. My hands are clean. I always wash my hands before I cook anything. So I'm just going to give my little chocolate chips here a good little mix, just to kind of distribute them a little bit better. Add those right in there. And I'm just going to use my hands and just mix all of these chocolate chips in here until they're all nice and combined into the cookie batter. Now this is a very, very thick dough, as you can tell, so it's going to take a little bit of elbow grease. Just keep working with it. It will mix together very, very well. So I am going to continue to do this, get my pans over here, and we will get these sectioned out and on the cookie sheet. Okay, so I've got my dough here, my cookie dough, and it's super, super thick. So all you're going to do now is measure out a little cookie scoop full of dough, plop it down onto your cookie sheet, and when you get all of your dough measured out, we can go back and roll these into balls before we put them in the oven. So I'm going to continue to do this so that all of my cookies are the same size. And then we will roll them into balls and get these in the oven. I'll show you what it looks like when I get them all sectioned out. Okay, so I've got my little cookie balls here. All you're going to do now is just kind of smush them into ball shape. Pop them back down onto your baking sheet and kind of press down a little bit. They're going to spread out, so keep that in mind when you are putting them down onto your cookie sheet. And put them like that, kind of press down a little bit. And these cookies are so good. They're so chocolatey. They are just perfect. Ton of chocolate chips in there. So you're just going to go ahead and finish all of this up, roll them out, put them on your cookie sheet, and kind of press down a little bit. And once you get them all done and ready to go onto your pans, you're going to pop them in the oven, and you're going to bake these for about, depending on the size that you make, you're going to cook these between 8 to 14 minutes. What I look for in a cookie is the edges to be brown, but the center to be just set. It will still kind of be slightly undercooked in the center, but not too much, because you don't want a raw cookie, because it will continue to cook when you take them out of the oven. So I've got these ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and do my other pan of cookies, and then we'll get these into the oven, and I will show you what they look like when they're done. Okay, so this is what they look like right out of the oven. They're lightly golden brown around the edges, and they're still quite soft in the center. They will continue to cook as they cool. They smell absolutely delicious. So I'm going to let these sit in the pan for about 5 minutes just to harden up a little bit, and then I'm going to transfer them to my wire racks here to cool completely. And I'm going to get the remaining cookies in the oven. These cooked for about 17 minutes. Yours may differ. Just keep an eye on them. Like I said, it depends on how big you make your cookies. So I'm going to let these cool, transfer them to my rack, and I'll show you what they look like when they're nice and cool. Okay guys, so these have been cooling just a few minutes. They're still pretty warm. I've got my other set of cookies in the oven, and I just want to show you what these look like on, in the middle. So I'm just going to break it open for you guys and show you the center, if it will focus. There it goes. Does that not look absolutely delicious? So I cannot wait until these get ready to eat. Of course, you can eat these warm if you prefer. I'm just going to let them cool, and then we will have them for dessert later. Alright guys, that is going to be it. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Really helps to support my channel. Also, don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and tick that little notification bell so you will get all of the notifications when I upload all of my videos. I upload every Monday and Thursday at 7 a.m. and we make a lot of stuff here. It's a very, very fun time. I love making recipes for you guys, and also leave me a comment in the comment section down below. I love chit-chatting with all of you. So yeah, we're going to wrap this up here, and I hope you all enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.